Most salespeople say they want to make more money, but they can't handle simple objections like, I need to think about it. When they hear something like that, they fold. And a lot of times, objection handling doesn't need to be that dang difficult, but we make it more difficult because it makes us feel good. But however difficult it is, in your industry, if you don't know how to handle the top 5, 10 objections that you get hit with every day, you're gonna get left in the dust by professionals who absolutely want to kill. So, if you want to get better at objection handling, stick around. All right, let's talk about how to handle any objection in any industry. Here is what you need to know. First, you've got to be in the right mindset. Read this right here, write this down. Objections aren't walls. They are just windows that you've got to go through to get to the client's fear. That's what's preventing you from overcoming them. It's not a wall. It's just a window that you've got to figure out how to climb through. And secondly, don't get emotional. Once you get emotional, you lose control. The key is calm. Calm is confident. So with whatever objection you get hit with, stay calm, stay collected, and work your way through it. Remember, it's just a window. You're going to figure out how to get through it. And reframe in your mind any objection that you ever get hit with. I need to talk to my wife. It's too much money, so on and so forth. It's not the right time. It means I'm interested, but I just don't trust you yet. That's really all it is they need more information. They need a little bit more value. Maybe they just straight up don't trust you yet, and you've got to build a little bit more trust. So keep that up there. So we're going to talk about the framework to really overcome any objection, because this isn't to teach you a little word track. I've got a handful of them written right here, but this is really to set you up so you can overcome any objection and be able to make your own playbook and be able to get by it. So I use the acronym ACT. A, acknowledge. C, clarify. T, turn. So acknowledge. Just acknowledge that you got an objection. Acknowledge that the human being that you're talking to said something, and acknowledge it in a meaningful way that shows that you actually listen. So I totally get it. That's fair. Something like that, it's going to show a little bit of empathy. It's going to show that you actually paid attention. It's going to also keep the conversation open because you don't want to immediately shut them down. So A, acknowledge. C is clarifying. So in clarifying, I might just dig a little bit deeper into the objection, or I might dig a different path. You'll see that I use a few of these down here, but out of curiosity, what do you mean by too much? So that's going to be usually a money style objection, and it's just getting them to talk a little bit, but it's really getting them to hopefully uncover the real objection, whether it's they need to talk to their spouse, maybe it is too much money, maybe they need to break it up on a payment plan. Like, it could be a million things, but just simply saying, that's too much, could mean a million different things. So it's going to be really hard for you to throw a dart at a dartboard from a football field away and actually hit anything. You're kind of just seeing what freaking happens if you try to overcome it at that stage. It's very initial, it's non-logical, it doesn't actually mean anything. So get the clarification in, the next part, and then T, turn it. So use data, an emotion, or tell a story to basically take the objection and then turn it in a reason to buy, right? And when you use those three together, it is freaking deadly. So make sure for each one of these, you also have a little bit of a story, a customer that you've helped, someone that you've helped, get over it. And heck, it can be really easy. I mean, one of my favorite objections or objection handlers people get, hung up on all the time is you'll go for the close. This is for like phone sales, or if you're selling over Zoom. Oh, I don't have my wallet on me after you ask for the money. Easiest one, easiest way to overcome it. Cool, go get it. I'm telling you, something that simple works 90% of the time. I don't need a story. I don't need any of that, but cool, go get it. And then what'll happen is they're either going to go get it, which they do often, or they have to come up with a real objection because they realize what they just said was stupid and they want to move on. So let me give you top 5 objections and just a quick way to handle them. This is so easy. I didn't do anything complicated here. I basically just reframed it and gave you a little bit of more info for most of them. But this is so easy. If you don't have this memorized yet, you need to go over it again and again and again until you can't forget it, because everything that you build is going to be built on this base here. So it's too expensive. A simple one. Considered to what? So that's the frame. That's the reframe. Considered to what? You're just getting them thinking a little bit. Now, they may answer immediately, and just let them start talking. Because if they answer that immediately, that means they're probably actually thinking about something, something's on their mind, and that's what's keeping them from going right there. But realistically, most people on that are gonna stall. Give them a second, make sure your tonality's good, pause for effect, and then, hey, it's only expensive if it does not work. Am I right? And you're about to find out how well this actually works for you. Sound fair? Shake their damn hand. The next one, I need to think about it. Another one that doesn't mean anything. It could mean whatever they want. You don't know what's in their brain. Heck, it's not even real half the time, because 9 times out of 10, if they're sitting talking with you, they've probably already thought about it. They've already gone through a budget in their head. They've talked to their wife, their business partner. They've done a little bit of research. Like, unless you're straight cold calling, one call closing, they've probably done some thinking about it. So, totally fair. What's the only thing, the one thing that you're unsure of right now? All you're doing here is getting them to move off the stall and have a little bit of dialogue with you, be able to continue the conversation, be able to have fun with it. You could also break it a different way. One of my favorite for I need to think about it is, hey, Chris, real quick, may I be real with you? Get permission to have a real conversation. Look, Chris, I hear I need to think about it a lot, but Chris, after talking to you for the last 5-6 minutes, I know you've already thought about it. It sounds like you've already talked to your wife. She thinks this would be a great idea for you and the family. You've already looked at your budget. We just went over the numbers and you said that would fit your budget perfectly. So realistically, when I get to this point with clients, I think it's one of two things. One, it's just a little bit of fear to make a decision. And we all deal with that every single day, but that's what you're on this call to be able to overcome. And secondly, the other thing is, maybe there's just something about the product that you absolutely don't like. So can I ask you, is there something that you hate that maybe you just didn't tell me and that's totally cool? Or is it just the fear of making a decision? It works quite a bit. If you've got the right rapport built, you could throw things like that left, right, up, down. It's a lot of fun. So this one, I need to talk to my spouse. Now this one could be a stall. I think 80-90% of the time it actually is a stall. There is 20% or so that it's a real objection and they're gonna have to talk to their spouse. Depending on the product, depending on what it is, like, you'd be surprised most people don't have to talk to their spouse. And I'm talking like cars. I've bought 100 cars, not 100, but at least 10 without asking my spouse. And guess what? Worst case scenario, she's irritated with me for an hour or two, and then she drives it, and I'm always driving a badass car, or, it benefits us in some way. It's either big, truck, wheels, tires, or it's stupid and fast. So there's a little bit of fun there. So I need to talk to my spouse. I think 80% of the time you can really overcome this. What I put here, the easy one, and then maybe I'll give you a little bit more, but the easy one is perfect. When you do, what do you think she will say? Or he, they will say. Who knows? It's 2025. The reason you use that is because you're trying to dig a little bit more information. If they're able to pop off real quick and say, honestly, I think she'll probably be good with it, you could always just go for let's just get it wrapped up today and move your family. Give them some additional value of why we're wrapping it up today, but they could probably move forward. Now, what you might actually uncover is the question that their spouse is going to ask isn't, they don't know what their spouse is thinking, right? So if they give you a question, it's actually what they're thinking. They just don't want to ask you because they're scared of getting closed. So ask that, it'll move the conversation forward. Now, if you do let them go, and you do let them go talk to the spouse, set a follow-up plan with authority. And also ask, what information would the spouse like? That way you could give them some additional information. And then check in with them when you say you're going to. Or maybe you go meet them at the house later. Maybe you jump on a phone call or a Zoom call with them both later. There's a bunch of ways to do it, but make sure you set the follow-up with authority. That way they actually have reason to go do it. Because I'm gonna be real with you. Even though I think 20% might actually need to talk to their spouse, I don't think most people do. It's a way to quit talking to you. So set it with authority, come up with a game plan, and make it as real as you can. Send me some more info. Look, actually, let's go back up to the spouse. One of my favorites for I need to talk to my spouse is, I'm in the coaching space, and I just like to hit people in the mouth. What it actually means is like, hey, Chris, I completely understand that you're wanting to talk to your spouse, man, but I think the reason we're on this call is probably because you've made a lot of promises that you haven't kept your word on yet, and really, is it your job to burden your spouse with more stresses about what you may or may not do? Let me ask you this. when you go to the store and you pick up an apple, do you call your spouse before you buy an apple? Or you want an apple, you want some damn lunch, you probably take the apple home or to the office, am I right? Absolutely. Do you think if you were to invest $10,000 today and make $100,000, your wife would probably never care about a $10,000 decision in your life again, am I right? Get a couple agreements in there. Chris, now I'm just coaching my old self here, but I do know this from personal experiences. The reason our wives don't trust us always to make a decision isn't because of the money, it's because of the decision we make. So often, what do? We have a great week at work, we make some extra commission, and then we go drinking with the boys after work. We drop $400 or $500 buying everyone beers, maybe some dinner, stuff like that. Come home and, we don't ever get to see them, yet we'll spend $400 or $500 doing dumb stuff that doesn't even affect the family at all. But a lot of times when it comes to ourself and our self-development, I'll be real with you, Chris. Most people I know that invest in themselves after saying they need to talk to their spouse, go invest in themselves, go home, tell their spouse what they did, and their spouse is generally happy because she's been waiting for you to quit asking permission to be great for a long freaking time. Now, does that sound like something you want to do? I'd say it's 60-70% close ratio on that, but mix it up a little bit, make it unique to them, but there's a million ways to overcome. So we'll get back on. Send me some info. Pretty simple. Sure, but just so I can send you the right information, what's most important to you? And I like to take this one step further. If I need to frame myself in a different way, I'll say, hey, Chris, perfect. I'll make sure I get the information sent over to you. By the way, what information are you looking for so I can have my assistant Blake go ahead and prep that and get it off to you via email? What information would help you make a decision here? Puts you on a little bit of a different scale. I've got an assistant, make it sound real, and maybe have an assistant. It always helps. If you're, looking to grow in sales, an assistant always helps. But it just makes it feel a little bit more sticky, feel a little bit more like reality. And it's the same thing. All you're trying to do is keep the conversation alive. Hey, yeah, could you just go over, or could you have her send me that breakdown in pricing again? Oh, Chris, that's super easy. Let me back up 2 slides here real quick. Here's a super easy pricing breakdown. Which one of those were you thinking would work best for you? You could go right in the closing the deal again. You'll figure out where they're at. You could try to rewrap. Worst case scenario, if you do have to do some follow-up, at least you know what their pain points are and what information you need to send them. And it gives you a plan to follow up. It gives you what information they're looking for to follow up. That way you have the reason to make the call. So last one here, we're happy with who we currently have. So this is going to be for landscaping companies. If you're an HVAC technician and you're doing some fall checkups, things like that, and they already have a client or they already have a company that's serving them. Hey, we're already happy with who we have. Hey, awesome. That's really good that you're happy with who you have, and I'm actually happy for you because not everyone is. Let me ask you this. What would it take for a 20% change in these services for you to consider switching? It could be more time. It could be a little bit of a better price. There's many things, but word that a little bit for your industry and just try to keep the conversation going of basically what would it take to get you to switch? How could there be a 20% improvement that would help you switch? Million different things. So those are 5. Make sure you write them down, reword them a little bit, but make sure you get this framework built, because if you can memorize this and go over it pretty easy, then as I was just doing, you'll just start adding to it a little bit, making it a little bit more sexy, giving it some more emotion, some more tone, some just more power to it, because that really leads us to number 4 here. Number 4, math is hard. Number 4 here being emotion, emotional control and tonality. If you're handling objections, you have to be able to control your emotion and tonality. So what do I mean by that? Tonality sells. It really does. The words themselves can't. You could say this in a monotone, boring, just, hey, it's too expensive. Compared to what? No one's gonna buy that. Hey, it's too expensive. Yeah, compared to what? It's just a different way that I said it. Same exact words, but my tonality was different, so it gave it different instructions for an answer. One of them was like, oh God, you again. The other one was genuinely curious. Compared to what? Maybe they did just have another vendor or another salesperson talk to them about a similar product, and you're comparing apples to oranges. Yeah, they're both fruit, but they really want an apple, and you're able to overcome that. So make sure your tonality is on point. If you need help with tonality, here's what you need to do. Exactly what I'm doing right now. Get behind a camera and record yourself speaking. Just 30-second segments is all you need. And then go watch yourself. You're gonna hate it. It's gonna be horrible, but I promise you'll get better and better as you try. So the next one is tone shifts. You need to have different tones. Things like authority, empathy, conviction. And it's the same thing that I was talking about, the tonality, but I say things in a different way. For example, if I'm coming from an authoritative state, it's gonna be like, look, Chris, I'm gonna be real with you for just a second. I know from just being on the call with you for the last 5 minutes that you've already thought about it because you've done a lot of research. But maybe Chris is more concerned with the deal because, he's done things like this before, but it's never worked out for him. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna say the same type of thing. Hey, Chris, I completely understand, man. You've done something like this before and it didn't work out for you, but you self-admitted that you really didn't put much into it. Now, I wanna ask you, Chris, do you wanna keep going down the same path of knowing what works, knowing what gets you to the life that you want, and continuing to fail to take action for lack of discipline, or should we change that frickin' today? So that's a little bit of a mix of the empathy and the conviction. Not so much conviction, but a little bit there at the end. Conviction is gonna be more of like, Chris, I'm so glad that you and I are on this call. What you said is exactly what helps our clients win every single freaking time. So when you get through this 10-week program, what's gonna be amazing is you're gonna be on a new level. You're gonna be making more money, you're gonna get closer to your wife, your fitness goals are gonna start to get hit, and you are no longer gonna lack discipline anymore. Let's go. I'm still talking to Chris, I'm just changing my tonality and the structure behind it and the emotion behind it so that I can connect with the client where they need to be connected at. Not everybody needs to be yelled at every single time. Not everybody needs a monotone analytical voice. Not everyone needs to hear a story. You've got to meet the customer, you've got to meet their needs, and you've got to know their dang personality a little bit. And then the last thing I wrote here is people don't buy when they understand you, they buy when they can feel you. So that's where emotion, tonality, and everything really comes into play. So, like I said earlier, if you struggle with tonality or you're monotone, or maybe you're off the wall too much and you can't dial it back in because you're so excited, then get behind a camera and start practicing and review yourself. You'll notice little things like your hand movement, your feet movement, where your eyes go, where your focus is at, and heck, right behind your camera, put up a little picture of some random person and get good at looking at them in the eyes, because guess what? It's gonna make your dang video look better too, so heck, you might use it one day. I appreciate everybody. If you wanna get more of this information, here's what I ask. One, subscribe to this channel. There's gonna be a lot of free sales training. I drop it all the dang time, and make sure you find me on Instagram and Facebook too. But if you're really committed to take your sales game to the next level and you'd like to book a 30-minute Zoom call with me, here's what I want you to do. I want you to text Zoom to 503-830-9773. Again, text Zoom to 503-830-9773, and let's set up a free strategy session to take you to another level.